I'm bullish on Lance. He's definitely the best quarterback I've ever covered. He's very intriguing. He has some issues that he needs to fix. Three things: wobbly passes, too much velocity on specific throws, the short ones, and missing high. When he misses, it's high.
Yep.
So you've had a constant communication with his quarterback coach. What have you learned on these three
Yeah,
issues?
so had him on last Thursday, and we talked about all of these things. And so, oddly enough, Grant, he said wobbly passes and high throws are caused from the same exact thing. So it's not a surprise that we saw him throw high a lot. We talked about this leading up to the draft. We talked about it after he got drafted. And now the wobbly passes are starting to come to light. And he says that they're caused from the exact same thing. He says that he's not getting full extension on his throws, he's not committing. And even when he is committing, sometimes he's turning that wrist over too quick, which is causing some of that inaccuracy and causing the wobble. He did say that it basically that's 5% of the throwing motion, right? He says that he's loading good, his arms are in the right place, his body's pointed in the right direction, and that final 5% is where he's losing it a little bit. He thinks it's a very easy fix, but that's what would cause it is not extending properly at the very end. So I thought it was interesting that
Yeah,
he said that
I see what
wobbly
you mean.
passes
It's
and
like
high passes are the same.
it's your release point. It's finishing out in
Yep.
front as opposed because when you miss high, you're leaving your arm behind you. You
Yes.
basically you're
Yes.
not you're not. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess what I also notice is he tends to unconsciously, we've seen it on tape, drop his weight a little bit,
Yep.
and I feel like that kind of leads you to dragging your arm.
Yes.
Like if you want to finish out in front, you should have a stiff back leg. You should keep a
Mm-hmm.
straight back leg. I mean, I think that's how pitcher. You never see a pitcher drop and drive anymore in the MLB. It's all straight leg throws. Trey, you might want to stop that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I also think that maybe that final 5% can be rushed if you're not seeing the field the way that you want, and
Yes.
all of a sudden you're throwing late, you're
Yes.
hitching, and then you're like, okay, I got to go. You're going to leave something off, right? He's going to use his hips, he's going to drive the way that he should, but that final 5% is where you're going to get a little loose, and maybe that's why we're seeing that issue.
Well, one thing I would do if I were the play caller, knowing that this is his main weakness at this point, and otherwise, yeah, this is his main weakness. What I would do is on third downs in particular, I wouldn't be calling passes over the middle.
No.
He's got such a strong arm. Outs,
Yep.
give him an out route. If he misses, it's incomplete. But he can also hit it, and he's got major arm strength. So it's something you work on. Tell him to aim lower. Aim low. Whatever you got to do. But until then, let's just throw outs on third and seven, or
This is
bring in
again,
Jimmy.
this is why rollouts are so important because
Yes.
you roll out, right? And let's say you have a couple overs, you can make high low reads. Those are
Yes.
very easy reads to make. So you have three options. You look high, then you look low, or vice versa. And option three is you take off and run. Like it's very simple for him to wrap his mind around that. When you have to sit in the pocket and you're going left to right or right to left, I mean, he doesn't even know where his checkdown's at half the time.
He
Like he's
doesn't.
losing that.
He
So
doesn't.
and that's an issue. But if you start to move the pocket, it helps him so much.
Also, mechanics in the pocket. I've seen this with a lot of quarterbacks. I always compare him to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz to me was never natural in the pocket. You could always nitpick him like, look at him. He holds the ball too long. His
Hmm.
feet are in the right spot. He's just not. But as and so you can like see him thinking about the mechanics he was working on that week. It's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I was supposed to take a hitch and I was supposed to hold my hands here and this. But as soon as you're throwing on the run, it's like, oh, you've been doing that your whole life. That's so natural and easy to you. And Lance is the same way. As soon when he's rolling left and throws, it's like that's easy. That he could do that all the time. And so
Yeah.
I just would encourage if I were a play caller, I'd be looking for as many of those opportunities as possible.
Yeah.
It's like okay, his back to the basket game isn't that great, but he can shoot threes. Well, let's get him behind the perimeter. Let's get him behind the
Right.
arc. So we
Right.
can work with that. Christina says, "Do we know when Jimmy's contract is guaranteed?" Yeah, week 1. As soon as the season starts, it's guaranteed for the full season. Are you guys really okay paying him to play only a few games instead of rolling that money to next year?
We're not
It's not
okay
our
with it.
jobs. It's not our jobs, but it's too late. I mean, they really
Yep.
missed the opportunity to get a lot of the guys that could have got with that money. And also, you got to remember, it's year 5 for these guys. If they miss the playoffs, you don't know what someone like Jed York's going to do. You don't know. It could be a very painful season. He could fire you. And this, to me, is I feel like John and Kyle's insurance. Like, as long as we have Trey and Jimmy, we can guarantee we'll get to the playoffs. We won't win the Super Bowl. I mean, we most likely won't. We'd have to break some records to do that. But at least we'll get to the playoffs, get off the hot seat, and we can do what we need to do after that. I think that's part of it.
How nice would it be to have Mitch Trubisky right about now?
Oh,
you started that whole thing like week 12 last year.
Always felt that Matt Nagy made him look worse than he is, and if you just put him with a good team and a good quarterback coach and a good system, he'd look good. Boom.
For $2 million.
Yeah. Did I miss one? Which game will be Lance's first win? How about week 1?
Yeah, whenever.
Again, it's
whenever
not who
he
starts
starts,
that game. It's who finishes it. That's what I want to see. That is the quarterback competition. Area 49er says, pros of throwing fastballs, hard to get picks. Cons, drop passes or pop-ups that could lead to same thing with Cap. Go back and look at Cap. I think he has one of the lowest interception percentages of all time. I think Rodgers is the lowest. Cap might be second lowest, or was at one time. He was similar. Cap's skill set is a lot like Lance's. Average 6 yards a carry, rocket arm, limit turnovers. That's a great skill set. You can win a lot of games
for sure
that way.
Yes,
the thing with Kaepernick was he never really evolved into the Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson type quarterback who's worth the money that you give to the guy. They should have traded him and just gotten another guy to do that kind of stuff because he was always kind of a one-read quarterback and his improv game wasn't that great. But the 3 things he did really well, God, that's very potent. And Trey Lance can do that right now. And we think he can evolve way beyond that.
I think he already has better deep touch too than what Kaepernick ever had.
Quick release.
Yeah, quick release.
Yep. And I think he's more into learning the game.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Zane says, Grant, did you know the most you can donate in a super chat is $500? If I had that, I would donate it. You men are great. Love the content. Go Niners. Thank you very much. That was very nice. Maria says, how many sacks do you think Bosa and Ford have this season if healthy? Laugh my ass off. 40. I don't know. How about 20? Over under 20.
Oh, over. If they're both healthy, easily over.
Thank you, Wyatt, for subscribing.